Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Maker's Modem. I'm your co host, Dan. This is your co host, Ethan. He's a human.
I'm a human. That's very nice.
Yeah,
Maker's modem.
unlike myself, of course.
Maker's modem goes off the tongue. Maker's modem.
Yes,
MM.
Maker's
We
Modem.
can do M&Ms. We can do
M
branding.
and M's. Yeah,
Yeah.
just start rapping in every episode.
Yeah.
That would not end
That's our
well.
that's our signature thing that we eat is just M&M.
Just M and M's. I gotta get a bag of M and M's then. This is a good idea.
There we go.
I like
But is it
this.
peanut butter or is it original?
Oh, well, not peanut butter, but I can go with some peanut M and M's.
Peanut.
Yeah, maybe we have a whole debate series of which which M&M we have in every episode.
That works. Yep. Gotta do
All
different
right.
colors corresponding.
Oh yeah, always. All right. For this episode, we want to talk mainly about degrees, college, and how
College.
whether or not we need those in the creative fields. Um, Ethan, you and I are both obviously filmmakers, starting
Hmm.
out trying to get good.
Try our
But we,
best. Yeah.
but we both want to do different things and go different routes. You want to go more the traditional Hollywood, big production filmmaking route. I'm more interested in the YouTube type trajectory where it's more collaborative, but each person is taking on kind of the whole project at once. I like tackling all those little things, whereas Hollywood tends to divide things up and niche down, and niching down is kind of where degrees come in, as far as showing if someone can do something. So I just think, yeah, let's talk about that.
Well, I think we both have different views completely because you're already in college and I'm trying to apply to college. So
Right.
that's the completely different view on that. I mean, it benefits in both ways not going to college and then going to college. It's college is more I think college is more for the people that want to get accepted as a like an actual film job in a business while not going to college and just getting right on it definitely helps if you're going the YouTube route grow easily because you're learning from going on experience and just going out there and doing stuff.
Kind of like a difference between freelance and um, like a consistent job with a boss and all that.
Yeah,
Because I mean, let's be honest, clients aren't ever gonna look at your degree. They don't care. They don't care what school you went
no,
to. They're gonna look at your portfolio, look at your website,
yep.
see what you've done, and if you haven't done anything good, then they're
Well,
not gonna
yeah,
hire you.
then
So,
yeah,
but then you have this question of money and time, which of course are the two biggest costs for college. Um,
hmm
which is, if I'm spending, well, let's say Valparaiso University, the one I go to, is after 4 years, it's roughly $200,000. I mean, think about what I could do with that sort of money. Now, I don't
hmm
have that sort of money, but over time, that's a lot of investment that I could put into my videos, into filmmaking, into my whole career. Um, so there's always that, and when you add the time component, it's like how many short films could you make, and how good could they be, in the time and money that you would spend in a classroom.
yep,
So I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to the program itself, like how many, how well is it going to put you in the field, and how much experience will you get from it, or will you just be in a lecture the whole time, because that's not going to help you.
yeah. I think if I was gonna say my personal view is you're gonna learn more just going with it and doing stuff than you are gonna go in college. But if you don't go to college, you will not have as many connections. And trying, if you're depending on what you're aiming for, which of course I'm aiming for the Hollywood type of stuff, they're mainly looking at if you actually went to college and have that degree, and they'll base it off. Hey, he's gone to college for 4 years. He has that experience. Okay, he might be reliable enough instead of a person who hasn't gone to college. Sure, they'll look at the portfolio, but if you do portfolio on top of 4 years of college for that master's degree, they're gonna probably accept the person with the 4 years.
Right, right. So yeah, there's a lot of time management skills that are kind of going to determine whether or not college is useful. Um, because well, if you're not going the Hollywood route, because then if you're taking all these classes and you're getting all this experience and you stay there for 4 years, I mean you've shown commitment, and yeah, you're going to know a lot about it. But if you can't manage your own time in such a way that you can't make your own films, you can't grow your portfolio and all that, then you're not gonna you're not gonna be able to make that sort of impression that you need to make on potential clients. Whereas if you're trying to get hired by a director to do editing or director of photography or all that, then you need to be able to show that you got this long and expensive education in order to seem professional in a way.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of people that I've talked to, specifically a director I worked with. He didn't go to college, and he used to have a company. He may or not have ended it like right before I asked for a job, but I asked for a
Lovely
job.
timing.
I asked for a job, and I was like, "Hey, if you have any stuff that I can do over the summer for you," he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll contact you." And the day after, he's like, "After 11 years of this company, I am deciding to end this company." And I was like,
Oh
"Well,
man.
guess I'm not doing that."
Nope.
But I talked to him, and he has the company, or he used to, and then he also did more freelance stuff, and he's pretty successful with what he does for freelancer work and everything like that. And then his crew, one of them went to Full Sail, and she's now doing stuff, but she's 30 now, and that's the time she got her first big thing. The first big thing she got was the job that we were on. So that also, it's also depending on where you go to college to get the people that you know to get jobs.
Right. So, do you think internships would look similar to Hollywood employers as college if you also have a big portfolio? Like if you have a 3 year internship with, oh gosh, I don't know, let's say with Peter McKinnon,
Mm-hmm.
like does that have the same impact, or are they mostly looking for, do you have this educational experience, or are they really seriously looking for the certification?
I think it all depends on who you're doing the internship with. I mean, Peter McKinnon, he does all these crazy things, and he does more freelancer work with different companies. But I do not think that unless Peter McKinnon has a good group of people around him that can get him an offer from any Hollywood stuff, he's not going to be making those huge, big $1 million budget films. I don't think. I think it's going to be more. It's what he likes to do is just go around and do whatever he wants and make creative stuff, which that is fine, and I completely would love to do that. But I think internship. I'm not pronouncing it.
Internship.
It's been a long day. Um, it always depends on it depends on a bunch of stuff if you're what you're planning even to go to. So say you're planning to go into Hollywood, sure, internship. God damn it! You know we're gonna have an issue with
Yeah,
this today.
we're just gonna change the word. Notify the Oxford
Yeah.
Dictionary. It's no longer it's pronounced internship now.
But I mean, if you
Just
have one
make it
with Peter
easier on Ethan.
McKinnon, if you have one with Peter McKinnon, I mean, I think more smaller companies like Porsche, like Kennan, he has offers with Porsche and all that type of stuff, which is amazing.
Right.
But Peter McKinnon's done stuff with car companies that are worth it and will be super cool.
Right, like
But
His Hyundai commercial.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was
that
super
was
cool.
awesome.
So if you're having an internship with him, we're struggling. We're just gonna give up on the word. If you have one with him, it's gonna be more YouTube based. But if you have one with, let's say, Steven Steinberg, or you know,
Right.
it's gonna be more. Everyone's gonna be looking for you to be with, like, for you to be part of their crew for a TV show because, well, you worked with him and he's probably the
Right.
most famous film director out there. And I think even if you look at the most top directors in Hollywood, most of them went to college and
Hmm.
have that degree. So I think it's more based. All the big directors, they all went to college, and then all the commercial makers, small company like filmmakers, they all did. They just went off and created.
Right. So, so it does seem to be more focused on, from the perspective of a Hollywood agent. They're looking for someone with this long and serious education. So, so of course they're looking for degrees, or we've decided that probably good internships with the right type of people as well. But by that logic, can you not also have a portfolio that shows that you know all of those things? Like, what's the value specifically in the type of education if the end result is still you having this knowledge bank? Like, let's say, obviously I don't, but let's say that I know how to make, you know, big budget, full 2 hour movies, um, just as well as anyone who went to film school. I don't, but let's say that I did.
Mm.
Just by making my own things for 10 straight years, and I've got that good, and I have enough money to make these big films in a portfolio. Like, is there a difference there?
I don't. I wouldn't say there is much of a difference on like. Of course, they're always looking for what experience you have and what level of just directing and camera work and everything you have. But what I have learned based on the people that I've talked to, and just even Martin Kebbel, who I worked with, who he literally said to me, he's just like, yeah, you can have a lot of experience, and sure, you can get really far with that, but you always want to look for those connections, because if you don't have those connections, you can't get farther than, you can't get as far as
Right,
other people. I mean,
right.
Martin Kebbel, he's as far as he's gone because he has connections to Johnny Depp and
Hmm.
all the people from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He's able to do his own stuff because he's gotten support from all of them. But I think, I mean, you look at Peter McKinnon, he has all the connections to all the YouTubers and stuff, so he can make crazy stuff. But he doesn't have any. I don't think he has any connections with any major Hollywood producers or anything like that. All of his stuff is more YouTube based. Of course, it's all what you base and what you want to do.
Right,
I mean,
right. That's one thing I
what do you
do.
think?
Well, what's one thing I do find really interesting though is the whole connections thing, because I think you make pretty much, if you're going specifically to film school, I think you're going to make the same number of connections that you would make if you didn't and were just constantly making things online. Um, like, look at the two of us. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not in film school. I'm a finance major. Um,
Yeah.
but even still, I mean, I don't have many connections through my university. I mean, you and I
Mm.
met on Discord,
Yeah.
and then we brought a bunch of other filmmakers together, and now we're making a full fucking documentary.
Yeah.
I mean, a short documentary, but it's still a documentary, and like,
Mm.
so there's certainly still an element of being able to find those connections just online without school. But then when you put yourself in this film school environment, yeah, you're going to be. I think you tend to get more connections in film school with people above you in your trade, whereas online with YouTube, I think it's mostly peer based. So you'll make more connections with people at your same level, and then you'll advance together until until you become the people that you might have met through film school. So I think that's one big benefit, is that you can meet more mentors more easily through film school. Whereas online, I think most of your mentors are going to be just people you watch from a distance, like Peter McKinnon, Matt Devell is my mentor. I've spoken to him on Twitter occasionally, but that's the extent of that. Whereas, I mean, he did go to film school, and he said in a video, his last video actually, as of us recording this, that that was a bad idea, because he made one documentary, Minimalism, on Netflix, my favorite documentary that I've ever seen. It's awesome. Um, and he's phenomenal at it. And he got that good in a sense because he went to film school. I mean, he's got connections to people at Netflix, for example, and then
Hmm.
he's got, but then, but the tools and faculties that he used to make the film can be learned anywhere. I mean,
Hmm.
I learned a lot about how I film my own videos by watching Matt D'Avella. Now, does that compare to actually spending 4 years in college? No, probably not.
Yeah.
but that was the only big film he ever made, and since then he's only done YouTube, um,
Mm.
and he's still just as good, but he doesn't seem to have that same sort of network connection as most people who go to film school. It seems to be very very peer based. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't decide which one's more beneficial because, in some sense, you can't make big things if you don't have these collaborations, but you also can't be hired for big things if you don't have connections to people above you, so to speak. And you might not learn as fast. So I think it does still completely depend on these two very different worlds of the creative landscape, which is, you know, lots of smaller productions where each individual is handling pretty much every part of the process together, um, versus the really big ones where it needs very specific people for very specific tasks.
Yeah. I mean, it's all very. I mean, you can go every single option. You can go different directions everywhere for this type of stuff. For us specifically, right now, it's the internet side of it of just learning off each other and building, and then I mean you change depending on how your life is. It's it always depends on the person, I think, too, of which way you want to go for that. I think it's a very go for your chance or miss it type deal with film.
Yeah,
I think, like, I don't know. It's always controversial. Everyone I talk to, it's completely different on how they view it. Most YouTubers at this point, they view it as, oh, college, it's not really worth it because that's the field they're in. They're
right,
in YouTube,
right, yeah,
which you can make a video of a dog barking, and I mean,
right,
you can get
right. That
something out of it.
Yeah, I think most YouTubers would say if you want to go to, well, actually most YouTubers that I've seen do say this. If you want to be a filmmaker online, making YouTube style films, even if they're an hour long, making cinematic films for YouTube, like you should, if you want to go to college for that, go to marketing or
Mm-hmm.
business. Whereas if you want to make the next Star Wars or Marvel movie, well, you go to film school.
Yep.
If you want to be a cameraman, if you want to film, you don't want to edit, you don't want to script, nothing like that, and you're looking at two people want to nothing but film. Person A and person
Mm-hmm.
B. And person A is trying to go to the YouTube route. Well, first of all, person A is probably going to have to do a lot more than just filming. um,
Yeah.
so they're better off going to marketing because not only then will that help them hire other probably freelancers to help them script and edit, um, but they're going to be able to handle the algorithm better, which is how you can film a dog barking and still be able to go viral because
Yep.
you did something right to make the algorithm happy. Whereas person B wants to just film and they want to make the next Marvel movie. They want to be on the crew for the next Marvel movie. Well, if they go to marketing, that might help them sell themselves to a director, but then they're going to get to the set and everyone around them is going to have way more experience than they do.
Yep. And you're not
So,
gonna go up in the, I guess, in parentheses or quotations, ranks for
right,
the crew of that set. I mean, you'll start off as cameraman, stay as cameraman. You're not
right,
gonna go
right.
up
So
to.
I think that in the Hollywood type productions, it really comes down to how and this is kind of shown on the surface as well when you just go to watch a movie. It all comes down to making things big and flashy and catching people's attention and making it as good as you can because that's, I mean, you kind of hinted at this before, like that's your one shot. Like if you're the cameraman on an Avengers film and you got hired for just that one Avengers film, you better be a really fucking good cameraman because
Yep.
you might not get to do the next Avengers film, but Matrix Reloaded might might be interested.
Mhm.
If they see, oh hey, this was a great Marvel or Avengers film, let's see, we're looking for a cameraman. Let's check the credits of that. Whereas on
Mhm.
YouTube, it's very much like you're pretty much guaranteed to be able to continue with whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Like if I, I mean, let's say that I were to designate myself the cameraman for Maker's Lens Productions. If we were all in the same
Yeah.
place and we just needed one
Yeah.
person to shoot, let's say I'm the cameraman. I don't need to nail a 10-minute video
Because
because
we'll keep
guess
on
what?
making
Next
more.
month we're making another 10-minute video, right? And I'm gonna be the cameraman for it. So it's very much consistency over time versus how much can you throw yourself into this one thing and make it perfect, and that's it, and then just kind of cross your fingers and hope from there.
Yeah. I mean, you can also look at it now as if we're going into like it's not. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, sure. YouTube, you can keep on making videos. You can keep on improving. That's the point of YouTube. I'm going to be honest. Is you keep on improving with those videos.
Hmm.
For Marvel, of course, you get that one shot. But then there's also the entire realm of TV show making,
Oh
which
gosh.
you
Oh
can
yeah.
mess up and you can keep on going, but it's still at that level of movie
Right.
making, I guess.
Right, and the stakes are still the same, which is you're not guaranteed to make another series unless you, in the end, come up with an overall good series. Like,
Mm.
the person who films Mandalorian season 2 isn't guaranteed to be on Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But if they were to nail the cinematography on Mando season 2, then Marvel's making their next series, and they're going to say, "Oh, hey, that was really good filmmaking or really good camera work. Let's check the credits." So it's the same sort of technique as far as getting future work.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, shows are different because it's the same sort of short term, or rather mid range short term,
Yeah.
medium term, which is like you're still guaranteed like a job for a while that you can improve on for every episode. But when it comes down to it, it's the same concept of you gotta do it right that one time.
I think the TV shows are more. I think they're the middle ground for everything,
Hmm.
because you first of all there's the stress of if you're going to get hired for that TV show, but once you're hired, they're probably going to keep you on there for a season
Right.
at least to make every episode, so you have that leeway to improve each episode on what you're doing. But then it comes to the end of the season, and then there's that question: did this TV
Right.
show do good enough to have a second season? And if I do have a second season, am I gonna be back for that second season? So
Right.
there is that's the middle ground of worrisome, but also some reassurance that you're gonna still be doing stuff.
Right.
So I think YouTube is that safe route of hey, you're gonna keep on doing stuff. Then there's TV show, which is hey, I might be, but there's a pretty good chance I'll continue. And then movie is like okay, this is one of my big shot. If I mess this up, well, I may not be in the movie industry anymore.
Right. Right. It's it's interesting. YouTube is both much more forgiving than Hollywood style, and also much less forgiving. And it depends on where you're at. If you're starting out like we are, I mean, like for example, my first couple of videos, the color grade on those was absolute horse shit. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. I didn't know a damn thing about a color grade. And then for I would say like um, maybe 60% of my videos, like after that, I really didn't color grade at all. And then, or maybe I did it just barely, or did it
Hmm.
not too well. Um, and but I got much better at it. And it's not like once I messed up the first couple of times, I was done because it was my
Mm.
first few videos. So we're gonna do well anyway, and I can keep making more, and I can improve in a certain way each time. I forget who said it, but someone said something about some YouTuber said like every video just find one thing and make it 1% better, and
Hmm.
then next video make it 1% better. And we're to the point now where it's like okay, I've realized I'm not the greatest at color grading, so I downloaded a LUT online.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that
And I
works.
put that
Yeah.
in my last video. And there is still plenty of like outsourcing that you do for YouTube that is kind of similar to Hollywood, where you're gonna hire one person for one thing. I paid someone on the internet who uploaded this LUT to do something that I'm not good at. So there's still that element. But like if you
Mm.
mess something up like that, if that LUT were too strong, were too saturated, which the one I used was a little more saturated, I might try to find something else. But if it's too saturated and people are repulsed by it and they click off the video, like that's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
If you're, I have what 19 subscribers right now. It's like that's not the end of the world if one person closes my video because of the
Mm.
color grade. I'll look at the analytics where did they click off, and oh, okay, maybe it was the color grade. I'll get a different one, and I'll try that in my next video.
Yeah.
Whereas if it were Peter McKinnon and he made a really 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 bad video, I don't think he's capable of doing that. But
That's fair,
if he
yeah.
were to make a really bad video tomorrow, then he might lose an awful lot of subscribers, and suddenly the algorithm at this point knows that McKinnon is not still improving, so to speak. He always is, but he's not learning so much anymore,
Mm.
and it expects every video to be equally as good or better than the last one. Whereas for people who have just started their channels, the algorithm's looking at this like they're not going to be good for a long time. It's going to take a
Yeah.
while. So
Yeah.
it's more forgiving in a sense. It doesn't push your videos as much because they're not as good, but that is also good because you get to fly under the radar a little bit as you improve with every episode, with every video. Whereas once you're on the radar, it's like every little slip up,
Yep.
it matters. In my last video, I was, oh god, I hate even thinking about it. It's so painful. I didn't notice it until after I exported the video, and I was too lazy to fix it and wait for it to export again, so I just left it in. But there were three photos, because it was a how I edit my photos video. And there were three
Mm.
photos that I put up on the screen. And every time the next one would come up, I would add a little pop sound effect.
Yeah.
Um, and the last one, these were like there were three before the edit, and I think there were like four after the edit because I didn't include one of them. But anyway, um, the last one, it was the monster cans prior to the edit, and the pop was gone. And
Oh.
I don't know if I forgot to put it in or if something went wrong in the export. I don't know. I hope something went wrong with the export, so that I'm not that stupid. Uh, but it didn't. It wasn't in there. And every time I watch that video back, it's excruciating because like you can tell
You know where you messed
it
up. Yep.
hurts. It hurts to watch. But I also know that that's not the end of the world.
Hmm.
I'll be more careful in the future.
Yeah. And then there's that completely different vibe. I think YouTube, you can upload something and then realize, oh crap, I messed up this little part. Cut it out. That's fine. You can just cut
Right.
it out in the software itself. Where in movies, if there's that one little mess up and you
Right.
realize it, it's on the screen. It's in cinemas. You cannot go back
Yep.
and really edit that and then distribute the film to every, you know,
Right.
theater in the country and say, hey, here's the new version. You can't do that. And then your viewers start realizing that
Right.
right after you do that. Then
Right.
that's the chain reaction of, oh hey, you saw this one little mess up. Oh, we're gonna pound you on it for it. Like
Oh yeah.
sure, like the end of Mando with Luke Skywalker, his CGI was you know,
Yeah, it was
but
okay.
he was there, right? People started pounding on it, like they could have done so much better, and it's just like, please just respect. He's in the show,
Right, right. And
so
then but then we
yeah,
say like right now and to everyone listening, be very clear. Spoilers for Boba Fett, just to be clear. When we see Luke again in Boba Fett, and what was that, episode 6?
yeah, it was the
Yeah.
most recent one. Yeah,
Yeah, like that wasn't that bad.
that
They dialed it
was
back a little
such an
bit. They made it
improvement.
look, I don't know exactly what they did. I assume they just made it look
They
more
hired a
like
new
the
guy.
actor.
They hired a guy from YouTube.
They Oh, really?
Yeah, they hired a guy from
There you
YouTube. He
go.
made a
There
video.
you
He made a
go.
video
That's one
saying
point for view for YouTube.
they made a video, or the guy made a video of how he can improve their version of the CGI, and they
Mhm.
saw it and they were like, okay, we'll hire him, and so they hired him.
Okay, so here we go. This is perfect. This is an example of do you know, did that guy have a film school background or anything like that?
I don't believe so. I think he just went for it.
Right. Well, even if he did, I think it's still the same concept, which is like
Yeah,
if you're putting out really good stuff and you know your shit, and people see that, you don't necessarily need to have this background. Maybe he did,
yeah,
maybe he didn't, but that's not how they noticed him. That's not when they decided like, oh, maybe we should hire someone else who is maybe smaller, but maybe he's a little bit better at this.
Mm.
It's just kind of, I don't know. It's eye opening. Maybe you don't always need this big education for this. I mean, plenty of times you do,
Yeah.
but for some things like that, if you know how to be heard and you have a big enough audience,
And you understand the
you can get the
algorithm.
attention of Lucasfilm. Yeah, and you know the
Yeah.
algorithm. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure. So in Rise of Skywalker, we see young Luke,
Hmm.
right? I'm not sure if it's the same guy who did. So like, sure, we have the new guy now that completely like redid it and it looks amazing. But then we had the other guy. I'm not sure if it's the same guy who did the season finale of Mando, because that can also show difference there. I mean, he
Right.
had this limited amount of time to do this scene for Mando, but he had probably what 2 years to do Rise of Skywalker
Something like that. Yeah.
for that 30-second minute maybe scene of
Right.
Luke and Leia fighting. So
And
I
it
mean,
didn't. And
it
he wasn't even.
also
And no lines either. It was just
it
like,
wasn't it wasn't
and
speaking.
with a helmet on like half the time with a mask. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah.
so that cuts him off a little bit there for like having to do that much work, is because they probably had to cut budget a little bit
Right.
there
Right.
with CGI and all that stuff. But Mando, they even have Mark Hamill like recording his voice, and they have
Hmm.
to de-age his voice and then
Yep.
do the deep fake.
Yep.
So I mean, you also have people who are individually doing that stuff,
Hmm.
which Mando, how they film it and how they film Boba Fett with the new like background screens that they have, the
Oh, it's
360 back.
amazing. It's amazing.
I have no idea like that.
I can't get enough of that stuff.
It's just like it look. Let's be honest, it looks absolutely horrible in real life.
Oh yeah.
Like the screen and everything, it doesn't
Yeah.
even look like it would
It's
look like real.
not at all. But
But when they put it into
once you put it in, it's like, oh wow, that's just there. Yeah.
yeah, and then
There have
they
been a
have go.
there, there have been a few moments. There have been a few moments in Mandalorian and Boba Fett now that I'm like, I think I might be able to make out kind of a line there roughly,
Mm,
but it's never been noticeable. And there is an element of it, particularly in Boba Fett, since we're on Tatooine so much. It's like there are times when it's like, I just kind of wish they actually went to the desert and filmed this. Like
yeah,
there's an
if they went
element
on set.
of respect that I have for a crew that was getting heat stroke. Like
Yeah.
there's a difference in appreciation for a desert scene in Boba Fett and a desert scene in A New Hope.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
they were all burning up out there for
yeah,
hours and hours on end, and Tamora Morrison is just sitting here in this air conditioned building. Love
I
you,
mean,
Tamora, but you're lazy.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I completely respect, yeah, them going out there. Again, the problem is the world's different now, and
Right.
we have some political issues going
Oh
on
yeah.
that, might cause filming to be a little bit different. They even had it back then. They had to have, like, protection.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
be. They did a BTS, and they said, yeah, we needed protection to record there because it was right on the line
Hmm.
of like political outburst.
Right.
So I mean,
Right.
they're playing it safe. It looks amazing, which is always good. But there is also that respect of people who are dying from dehydration on a
Right.
desert.
Yes.
If they
Yeah.
recorded Dune, the new movie Dune on the desert,
I haven't seen
their
that yet.
budget, it was okay. It's 3 hours long,
Ooh.
and it's only 1/3 of the first book, and there's 6 books.
Oh my. Okay.
And so it's very good, and they have amazing CGI in it. I love the movie, but if they went on set, like you can't get the shots that they got on in Dune from going on location. You couldn't get that. But if they did go on location and get those shots, first of all, the budget would be cut way down, and they could do
Right.
more stuff, and it'd be just more respectable. Like that's authentic.
Hmm.
I think I've always based most of my stuff on authentic. I want to get into like CGI and stuff, but also there that level of is it really good? I mean, of course, like there are certain things that CGI makes it amazing, like Endgame, Avengers Endgame. It
Hmm.
looked amazing,
Yeah.
but then there's also that level of respect of this is all authentic. Like there's
Right.
nothing CGI here.
Right. Yeah. And then we can make a similar argument for photography. Like, I
Mm,
don't know, where do you stand on photo editing? I mean, I know you edit your photos, but I'm very pro edits. But I mean, a lot of places, a lot of classes, and on in school will say, you can't edit the photos. I mean,
Yeah.
I have some friends in photography class here, and they had to make a portfolio, and hers was on it was mental health was her
Hmm.
topic for the portfolio that she had to make. Um, and I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I can picture one that would look really cool. I was imagining this shot. It was like from behind, black and white, a guy sitting in a chair with his head in his hands. You can't really see his face because it's from behind, but then
Hmm.
it could be like, or no, it was guy leaning forward in a chair, kind of looking, you know, evilish, and then below
Yeah.
him is maybe upside down, like a cityscape with a whole bunch of people. Maybe it's on fire or something like that, and the idea there would be a sociopath.
Hmm.
But then I was like, okay, so you can do something cool with that. And she's like, no, we can't edit them.
Oh, that's always a pain.
Right. And I get it. I get it. It's less authentic.
Mm.
It's not the picture you took. You changed it.
Mm.
But I don't know. It really does make things a lot better and a lot more artistic if you do edit them. So, what's your stance on that?
I mean, it's always depending on what you're doing. But for me, I mean, film authentically, I love authentic film. Photography is a bit different.
Hmm.
It's not different, but it is different. That's the
You're right.
problem.
Yes.
Because photography is just one frame of a movie.
Right.
I mean, it depends on what genre you're going for. I mean, you can make authentic stuff, but then it sometimes won't look as cool.
Right. Like there's this idea of, and I think I actually we'll go back to my favorite quote from a creator. Oh wait, what's his real name? Shoot. Shoot. Uh, Henrik Olsen. Henrik Olsen. He's my favorite musician on Epidemic Sound. I think he's on lots of things, but I just
Mhm.
primarily know from Epidemic Sound. And Peter McKinnon did a whole video with him. Anyway, his one of my favorite quotes from him, which is on our website, is, and I'm gonna not get it quite exactly right, but it's I don't create something that enhances an experience. I create music that delivers a feeling. Hence our slogan, "Deliver a Feeling." And I think that can be applied to this in a way, which is okay. If I take a picture of my water bottle,
Mhm.
like it's matte black. I love matte black, so in my mind, this is awesome. It's an interesting water bottle.
Yeah.
I can make this whole setup. I can get some product photography of this water bottle, and I can I can put that on Instagram. And okay,
Yeah.
people can see my water bottle. That's a picture of my water bottle. But it's not interesting because it's a water
Mhm.
bottle.
Yeah.
So what I
Yeah.
could do instead is I can edit the colors. I can make it a little more dramatic. I can up the exposure and the highlights, but drop the shadows way down. I can add a vignette, all those things, um, and make it more interesting. And maybe I can take the lid off and put it on its side, and then maybe edit in some lava flowing out of it because why not?
Yeah.
And suddenly it's really interesting and kind of weird, but also kind of dramatic and cool. And that's going to be more along the lines of delivering a feeling. Whereas if I just take a picture of the water bottle, like that's product photography. That's what generally speaking people will want if they're want to advertise.
Mm.
So I think it does in a way depend on what you're trying to do. But I'm not sure if I would consider photography, generally speaking, more along the lines of delivering a feeling or enhancing and capturing a moment.
Photography. Oh god. Yeah, like you said, it's completely debating or like depending on what you're doing with it. I mean, I think overall photography in my case isn't about delivering a feeling, it's about just making things look cool. I'm going to be honest with my type of
Yeah,
photography.
honestly,
It's just about
same.
making things look cool.
Like the deliver a feeling thing just sounds cool, but when I take a picture and edit it, I just want it to look cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
fair. Yeah.
that's my point. It's nothing like there's no deeper artistic hidden meaning. I just think it looks cool.
Yeah. Like the photos I took that I posted yesterday of the camera lens.
Oh,
I
I love
mean,
those.
that was the black, like I had the black background and everything, and if I took it
Hmm.
authentically and just left it, sure, it looked cool. But I completely got rid of the background,
Right, and you
which
drop the
makes it
shadows way down, and it kind of
it makes you
blended in with
completely
it. Yeah,
it makes you focus on the camera, which makes it look cool.
Right.
So that's not delivering a feeling. That's just showing the product. Which, let's be honest, you could deliver a feeling by doing some cool Photoshop thing and messing with stuff and coming up with an
Right.
idea. But it's always, again, depending on what you're going for. For me, right at that very moment, I was like, okay, this looks cool. Let's post it. I
Right.
mean, there's always the artists that want to always deliver that feeling with photography, which, I mean, you can do like shadow stuff with like darker half and everything like that,
Hmm.
or you can be like May Productions by just photoshopping cool shit
Right.
and posting
Right.
it.
Right. Just make a random monster that someone drew.
Yep,
Cause
I like
why not?
you can respect both areas of that,
Yeah. But
and
they're
it's the
really
same with
different.
film. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can. The same with film. You can respect both areas of that of just making cool shit, or you can make it a deeply
Hmm.
darker, more meaningful film. I mean, with May Productions, he just posted a video of like a Marvel like landscape
Yep. Saw
Photoshop.
that. Hmm.
That's badass,
It's
but it's
very
not
badass.
really.
Yeah.
It's not really like delivering a feeling. It's more, oh, cool. People like this. That's the thing with YouTube. There,
Right.
people
Right.
will like this. That's why I'm making it, and I also enjoy doing this stuff. So
Hmm.
that's why I make it. Where with film, you kind of want to get that nomination, so you kind of want
Right.
to make it more meaningful.
Right. And that's kind of part of YouTube that I can't decide if it's good or bad. It's the accessibility. Like we're making a documentary, and when we're done, we're gonna upload it to YouTube. Okay,
Mm,
it's amazing that we have a platform to do that.
yeah.
Like that's incredible that we can just suddenly say, "Hey, I feel like making a documentary. Let's just fucking do it."
Yep.
And we don't have to worry about what then because we can just put it on YouTube.
Where
But
in
at the
like the
same time,
1930s.
right, right, but at the same time, like anyone can say, "Oh, hey, I feel like making a documentary," and when we're done, we'll put it on YouTube. And so
Hmm.
there's this kind of diluted, I guess, pool of films on YouTube that it can get lost. It can also, if
Hmm.
you know how to market it, then it
Yep.
can go like crazy. But it's more likely to get lost. Whereas if you're making something with high budget and you're really serious about it and you have your connections and you have your degree and all these things, then you're gonna be able to, like Matt DeVella, you're gonna be able to get it on Netflix,
Yep.
or you're gonna be able to get hired by a production studio and make a Hollywood film.
Hmm.
And it's a double edged sword. You can either
Yeah.
because you can both make whatever the hell you want to and put it up, but at the same
Just depending
time,
on circumstances.
yeah, but at the same time, it's like, but maybe not many people will see it. Maybe it won't leave a mark.
Yeah, that's always what I've worried about is leaving something behind. I mean, for with with movies and Hollywood films, you can almost guarantee that you're gonna leave a mark there because it's Hollywood. You're gonna be up there.
Right.
For YouTube, it's always depending on the stupid algorithm.
Hmm.
I know it's YouTube, and I love YouTube, but their algorithm, it is one of the most agitating things in the world, I think, because you can make something that you put your heart and soul into, and it just goes down with the amount of videos that are posted. Because what, there's 500 hours worth of content posted per minute on that site.
Something like that. Yeah.
So if you do not market that well, or you just don't have the right means of how to get it out there, it will just get buried in the mounds of video content getting released. And then on the
Right.
other half, you can go viral and get more views on that video than most Hollywood movies would get.
Right. There's a short film on YouTube, and I'm gonna see if I can find it, but I might not. I believe it's called Simplicity. I could be wrong, and I'll keep searching for it. It's a short film. It's about 10 minutes long, and it's very very moving for me. Um, and it's interesting because at the same time, like more because it's only 10 minutes long, a lot of people will click on it, and of course I can't
Yeah,
find it, so I don't have the number of how many views it has. But more people will click on it, and we get more
10 minutes is always
engagement.
that safe.
Right. And I wonder, like, okay, it was a short documentary. It was
Mm.
well, it was at least it was documentary style. Of course, now I'm getting hammered with background noise because door rings. It was the same documentary style, But I wonder if they had made a whole documentary out of it and it got on Netflix, or it maybe got to theaters, like, would it have had the same amount of engagement?
Hmm.
Because I mean, when I think back to documentaries I've watched, not very many come to mind. I watched they're one of my favorite things to
Yeah.
watch. No, on anything like Netflix.
Oh, on anything.
Like minimalism is one of the only documentaries that I can like always recall and remember, and I that's probably because I've watched it. Not kidding, 6 times. Uh,
Hmm.
um, and and other than that, there are very few. Like Fed Up, I remember. Anonymous, I watched that. I believe that's on Netflix. I think I remember that one, but that's about it. Like there are none that really
Yeah.
stand out. But there are tons of YouTube videos that I remember really, really well. It's the ones
Mm.
that were made as if they were the same quality and production budget as a full documentary, but that were shorter. So I clicked on them more, and because they were shorter, it was more sound bites, and I remembered it better, and it stuck with me longer. And there's more feedback, and you can talk to people in the comments, and kind of yeah. I just feel like there's a way for it to be more impactful on YouTube in a shorter
Yeah.
form than it can be, at least for documentaries, than it can be on a bigger platform like Netflix or just Hollywood in general. Um, but it might not be able to get seen pretty much at all. So
Yeah.
and it won't be on Netflix forever. Like if I want to go back, if someone in 10 years is on Netflix and they're looking for health films, they're gonna find Fed Up.
Hmm.
They're gonna watch Fed Up. But if someone's on YouTube in 10 years looking for sort of short films around minimalism and family and all that, and they're probably not going to find Simplicity by whoever made that because
Yeah.
it's probably going to be buried because it's like 15 years old at that point, and it's
Yeah.
only 10 minutes long, and people have forgotten about it. So it has a lot of double edged swords with YouTube.
I think with Netflix, the only documentary that has really sticked out to me that I've found, and the only reason it sticked out is because it's directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's has the music and everything like that, so it's a
Mm-hmm.
musical, so that's why it stands out. But Tick
Yeah.
Tick Boom, that stands out because it's a musical. It's directed by someone big, but it is a
Right.
documentary. That's the
Right.
only
And it's got
reason.
Andrew Garfield. I
Well,
love
yeah,
Andrew
there you go,
Garfield.
perfect.
he's
But
he's the best Spider-Man. Fight me.
I,
I mean,
oh
full
god,
respect to all the others, and Tobey Maguire will always be Spider-Man because he's just the first.
I think
But
that
Tom Holland,
yeah,
he's nailed the age. He's got a good attitude for it. But Andrew Garfield just is the better actor. I mean, he does a better job with emotions than the other two. I think. So
I
like Gwen's
think
death, I think is the best moment in Spider-Man
yeah.
I've ever seen.
I mean, the reason I don't like Tobey Maguire is because in those movies he seems really stale. He isn't a stale actor, just in those movies
Right. That's the same
he
thing I
just
noticed. Yeah.
it was weird the acting level. I mean, like in No Way Home, he's like I mean it's the same character. It's just a little bit more there. I think.
Right. And actually, I would say the opposite with Andrew Garfield. I was kind of surprised by his performance in that. Like, I still loved him in it, but he wasn't as interesting as he normally is. And
He
I know
was not
they
as
kind of played on that by saying he's cynical now and he's not
yeah
pulling his punches. So like they made it work, but it still felt kind of weird. Like that's not the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man that I've known from
yeah,
Amazing
and
Spider-Man 1 and 2.
he's more Andrew Garfield Spider-Man's more just Andrew Garfield in general is a happier, more like
Right.
out there guy. I don't know,
Yeah.
but back to the YouTube side of things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're now getting into that age of shorter means better,
Yeah. Which
and
which
that's
is
a
another double-edged
really.
sword.
I mean, I'm working on a short right now just to test it out
Mm-hmm.
because I
And
just want. I
and I've
just want
seen
to
a
see.
sneak peek, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
But
I just want to see how it works, but it is agitating. My view on it is yes, it does better. Like tick or attention spans are horrible now because of the pandemic, and people
hmm
just scroll and scroll and scroll, and they can find more content faster and easier, and there's more views. But it's also on the agitating point of the most viral videos, barely any effort in there,
right,
and then
right.
you put
And
all this effort into something else, and it doesn't do as well. It's kind of soul crushing.
I was on Twitter today, and I found a tweet from YouTube creators after my background noise, of course. I found a tweet from them that was kind of responding to the video that Peter McKinnon just made on Shorts, which is a great video, and I love his shorts. He does a great job with them.
Hmm.
But they were kind of playing on that a little too hard. It was at Peter McKinnon doubted his aesthetic craft could fit in less than 60 seconds. But in 2021, he tested making one third of his content shorts. The results: shorts equal 69% of his views. Nice.
Yeah.
Watch the full vid for an insightful take on the value of shorts and prepare to be inspired. And my response was to that tweet was that the real question though isn't about the views, but rather what those views really mean. I'm not so sure those views translate to any sort of long-term value compared to the more intentional views we get from our longer and more thorough videos, similar to the 1,000 true fans principle. And I think that really is what a lot of that comes down to. It's like, does the number of views matter, or does the intentionality and, I would say, intensity of those views matter? Because if I'm like, I don't like shorts, but I use it a lot because it's a lot of dopamine. It's a lot of
Yeah.
dopamine. So I get on all the time, and I'll just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. And while I'm scrolling, I probably view 100 different videos,
Hmm.
but I don't care. Like, I'm not gonna, if I view a video and I laugh and it's funny and it's well made, cool. I'm not gonna click on the profile. I don't care who
Yeah.
made it. So I I think there's a little too much emphasis on the number of views for shorts than there should be, and I think there should be more emphasis on who's watching. Are they watching repeatedly? Do they care about the creator? Um, and then there is definitely an element of like, are you the creator even trying, or are you just
Yeah.
kind of throwing something together to get the views?
Hmm. I mean, sure, you can. There's different type of creators out there, and everyone has their own views. But for me, I mean, the short run out I'm trying to put together is the best quality I can put together. It's not just horrible camera quality. This will do great.
Right.
It's more okay. I'm going to dive down on best camera quality I can and see how it goes. The problem with that is based on the algorithm again. Even if it's great quality for that 60 seconds of video time, will it still do good?
Right.
Or will the more crappier stuff, not that it's crappy, I'm just saying, crappy quality, will the more crappier quality, fast dancing videos do better because people are.
Right. Like, I mean, yours has a bunch of stop motion in it. Is the stop motion the first thing that happens in the whole thing?
I just added some stuff onto it. I did black background, the camera, and then putting lights around it to get that light reflection
Mm-hmm.
off of it, and then it goes into the short, like the stop motion.
Okay. Yeah. So, like, there's like one of the big things you have to plan for when you're making a short like that is the hook at the beginning. Like, you always have to add a hook at the beginning of a YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the one I just made, I walk through the. I just got a new camera. I walk through the door. I sit down with the box for the camera that little does the viewer know at this point is empty because I'm filming on the camera. And then I look right in the lens and just chuck the box behind me into the door. And then it goes black with a shot on Sony A6400. So it's this hook of like, hello, I just threw my camera into the wall. So there's still a hook, but that hook probably took like 20 seconds, maybe, I would guess.
Hmm.
Whereas on shorts, like, it's got to be
Yeah.
instantaneous or they're just going to keep scrolling. And
Yep.
so you really run out of freedom with what exactly are you making. Um, like, if you were to put your stop motion first, I would say, how long is the stop motion? Probably like 5 seconds long total, something like that.
I would say yeah, 5.
Yeah, something like that. It's like, yeah, it's cool. I mean, I've seen it. It's really, really well done, and I know it took a long time, um, but it's not terribly interesting. There's not much
Yeah.
dopamine there. It looks cool. It's awesome, but there's no dopamine. And
Mm.
so if it takes too long, and if you put that 5 second, time lapse or stop motion there at the beginning of the video, your views are going to be a lot different than if you have this setup thing at the beginning of the video. If you have your music pumps up
Yep.
right at the beginning of the video and all that, it's like you lose a lot of freedom with that shorter period of time. But at the same time, I think creativity comes out when you have really when you have these rules in place that you have to operate within. So and I think Peter McKinnon I think he talked about this in the video he made, which I liked at this point, which was that it's also a really interesting challenge for a filmmaker
Yes.
because you just ran out of all your artistic freedom. It's like, okay, you got basically nothing to work with. How well can you do? So
Yep.
there's a really interesting element of it. In the end, I just don't like short form content, so I don't do it. I don't do it, but
Yeah.
I respect people who really put in the effort to try to make people who put in the effort not to get as many views on it as they can, but who put in the effort to make it as good as they can.
Yeah. I mean, the problem that it's like happening right now, and it will eventually not be good at all. Is will YouTube become short form, or
Right.
will all those YouTubers that put dedication into these long videos just completely plummet because they're not getting on that cycle of shorts because our
Right.
generation just can't focus. So it's just going to lead to, oh, I just put out this 10-minute video. Why is no one checking out? And
Mm.
why is this video that's 60 seconds long getting 5 million views?
Right. And we see, I think it seems like overall YouTube's moves to longer form towards shorter form. I
Mm.
mean, we just recently went down from the monetization. I forget what exactly the rule is, but like they
It was
changed.
1,000 subscribers.
No, no, it was like oh, I know what it was. You can have 3 ads in a 10-minute video. When they just
Okay, yeah.
changed that, it has to be at least 8 minutes for you to have 3 ads. So they're
Mm.
lowering that time restraint because they know that more people are going to watch an 8-minute video than a 10-minute video.
Mm.
And before that, people were making multiple hour-long videos, and people were watching them just fine.
Yeah.
But then if we go all the way back to the beginning of YouTube, it's basically nothing but memes, and they're all like 2 minutes long.
Yep.
A 10-minute video is a long video.
Yeah.
And then from there it got to like then people started putting podcasts on YouTube that were 3 hours long, and people would watch them. And then from there it just started breaking up into shorter and shorter and shorter form. And yeah, I worry the same thing. Are we gonna say goodbye soon to longish form content like 10-minute videos? And I think that would be really bad.
Yeah.
Nothing inherently against short form and nothing inherently for long form, but there I think we lose the storytelling when we go
Mm.
less than 8 minutes, um, because then it kind of becomes random. Whereas if I look at Matt D'Avella, like his 10-minute videos, I mean they're fully scripted. I mean he's got a whole story laid out, and if you really analyze his filmmaking technique, like it's amazing what he can do in
Mm.
10 minutes, and he does it well, and it doesn't work outside of 10 minutes or more.
Yep.
His 20-minute videos, they're kind of him rambling, and
Mm.
his 5-minute videos are sound bites, and they're good sound bites. But quite frankly, I mean, they're from his podcast. I'd rather listen to his podcast for an hour.
Yep.
So I think it might be a dying breed of people who want to, pay attention for that long, in order to get this longer story. Um, and I think the value of story has kind of been diminishing lately across the
Yeah.
board,
I mean, I
particularly in Hollywood, but especially in media like TikTok and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've even noticed it with me now is I can't focus, like it sucks because I can't focus on like Book of Boba Fett, for example. I can't focus on that for more than 10 minutes without checking my phone, and that's an
Yeah,
issue.
yeah,
Like that the need to constantly be on your phone, and I've been like, I know it isn't right, but I can't help it. Like my
yeah,
mind physically cannot help it. You have to focus immensely to not grab it, which
yep,
is a problem. And then the problem with shorts is it distracts people from what they need to be doing, which is being productive.
right.
I'm on my phone, like I just having it here, I'm like, eh. But
Hmm.
the problem is with Book of Boba Fett, like sure, it's entertaining to a point,
To a
and you're
point, yeah.
watching it, but then you grab your phone and you're on TikTok or something for about 20 minutes. And you're like, oh shit, I was supposed to be watching this,
Hmm.
and then
Yeah,
you go another
like
20 minutes.
I traded doing something unproductive for doing something even less productive. It's
Yep.
like what's happened to the point where that can even be said, and then suddenly you have to say, oh, I shouldn't be being this unproductive I should be being this unproductive.
Yep.
Like, we're still watching TV. It's Star Wars, so it's allowed, but we're still watching TV. And now we're
Yeah.
like, oh, so where's the line here? It's like, you want to be productive, so you're gonna stop binge scrolling, and instead you're gonna keep watching TV. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, and
Yeah.
and it does seem
That's
that the whole mobile side of things can be worse. Um, like I go back and forth a lot, deleting a lot of apps from my phone.
mm,
YouTube is sometimes on my phone, sometimes not because I have a YouTube problem. Very addicted. Instagram, I'm not very addicted to that, so that stays on. Twitter is on and off a lot. I'm not addicted to Twitter, but I don't always like to have it there because I'll scroll and then I'll start to hate the
yep.
universe and all that. Um, and then what I recently, well, not recently, about a year ago, I think, what I did was I I hid all of my apps on my Android, so we can hide all of our apps. I don't know if we
Yeah.
have that on iPhone yet, but I hid all my apps except for like the most essential ones. And then what I do now is if I'm gonna go to an app, I have to go to the search bar and type in the name of the app, and then go to app settings and open app from there.
Oh my
So
god.
I've made it so that I have to be really intentional about what I'm about to do on my phone, so that I have to know the exact name of the app I'm about to look up, and I have this friction between me and the app, so like I'm only on there if I really need to be on there. It does get annoying though because as soon as I tap on the search bar, it'll give me recommended apps, and lo and behold, YouTube is currently the very first one there.
Oh my god.
So, and it's always the first one there. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I've tried to pare down my screen time as
Yeah.
much as I can.
And how it used to be is, I mean, with movies, anyways. Like at this point, through a 2 hour movie is difficult to get through because you're on Disney Plus and you can
Right,
pause it. You can
right.
pause that. Where in the movie theater and how like before, I think it was much better before the pandemic. Let's be honest, the pandemic drove everyone insane and people
Yeah,
resorted to internet.
yeah,
But before the pandemic, it was like, oh, okay, we're going to this movie. Let's sit down for an hour and a half, 2 hours,
yeah.
and we actually can pay attention. We're now on Disney Plus. Like, sure, Disney Plus is amazing. I love it. But you can pause it.
Hmm.
So that means you can walk away, come back later, watch it, and you can not be as productive. Where on the movie theater, you have that 2 hour time frame where you have to be focused and in the movie to understand it, and then you can go off and do your productive thing. Where Disney Plus, you can rewind it.
Right, and I've been trying to incorporate theaters more, at least now that they're opening back up.
Mm,
Like I mean, of course, I went to see Spider-Man No Way Home in the theaters because
yeah,
that's the only place
that's
it
so great.
was. But I hadn't been to a theater in a long time since I went to that.
Yeah.
It felt right, and I'm gonna try to even for movies that I'm not interested in watching, I'm gonna try to start going to the theater nearby more often. But
Mm,
and instead of waiting for like if something's gonna come to Disney Plus in a month, let's say, um, part of me just wants to wait a month. If
yeah.
I'm not that interested in it, I just want to wait so that I can watch it at my desk with my headphones on. But I'm gonna try to spend more time. Like, okay, I'm gonna go out and deliberately watch this and give it my time, and then on my way home, I'm gonna critique it and analyze it because that's like the main thing I like
Mm.
about watching movies and shows. I love tearing them to shreds afterward. I'm a very negative person like that. Uh, I love tearing apart the stories and character development. It's like, oh, did they need to do that? That was dumb. Oh, that character wouldn't have done that. But I find that I do that a lot less when I watch it at my desk because then the credits roll and I'm on Instagram
Yep.
or I'm doing something other than just kind of sitting in my seat watching the credits roll. And whenever I
Yep.
go to the theater, I sit in my seat for at least 5 minutes afterward. And maybe people look at me like I'm an idiot when I do that. But I just sit there, even if it's not a Marvel movie. If I'm not expecting anything
Yeah.
after the credits, I'm still sitting there watching the credits. In part because I like to see who's working on it, but um, and that's another thing. Like I like to appreciate the work that's gone into it. So I like to watch credits
Yeah.
sometimes, not all the way through, just like the main credits, um,
Mm.
just to see the names. And yeah, I think people tend to not do that when they're streaming, and I think we lose something when we stop really giving credit and paying attention to who's making these things and the number of people, amount of time that goes into it.
Yeah, I mean, the problem now is, God, I've been going to the movie theater like recently and often, but the problem is it's different. It's different now, and I don't like it for me because I used to be so excited to go to the movies and watch Avengers Endgame and like
Mm-hmm.
freak out.
Oh yeah.
But now, like, unfortunately, even during No Way Home, sure, I was super involved in that, but there was always that thought in the back of the mind is I'm really bored, and
Yeah,
I
because you're just
yeah.
sitting there and there's nothing else to do. So when suddenly there's this long piece of dialogue and you want to tune out, you can't really pull your phone out. You're in a theater.
Yep.
I mean, you can.
So you're
Please don't.
always
Please
like
don't.
fidgeting, trying to like
Right.
figure out what to do. And
Wondering
yeah,
when you should go take your pee break and.
there was a moment in like No Way Home where I was watching it and I was like, "Oh, okay, this is cool." And then I noticed myself I was looking around the theater. I was looking around instead of looking at the movie and watching it. I was looking around because I was bored.
Mhm.
And that never used to happen before the pandemic. That
Yep.
never used to happen to me. I always was so involved and like, "Oh my god, this is so cool." And now I'm just like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, and I've noticed with snacks in theater, this might be weird to think about, but like before the pandemic, before I started watching everything at my desk, um, when I would when I would have or when I would go to the theater, we would obviously smuggle snacks in because who's paying that shit?
Yeah.
Smuggle snacks into my mom's purse, and then I finish my Sour Patch
Yes, I
in
agree.
the first 2 minutes of the film, um,
Yep.
and like, oh cool, I had a Sour Patch, that was amazing. I wish I had more, but oh, there's a movie to watch, so who cares? And then during the pandemic, I'm watching all these things on my computer, and I'm still doing like I still make a fuss about watching movies. So like I'll go to Dollar General, I'll get some candy, and but when I say get some candy, I'm gonna spend $15 at Dollar General getting a dozen different bags of candy,
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna be. It's the difference between watching something and binging something,
Hmm.
and I've turned into a binger. Even for
Yeah.
just for one film, if it's not like a show that I'm binging, like I still have a binging mindset for it. And so when I went to watch No Way Home, now that I no longer have my mother with a purse, which is just a damn shame, I had to actually buy candy in the theater. Mm,
No.
way too expensive. I got my Sour Patch. I sat down. I was a couple minutes into the movie, and then I realized, oh, I'm out of Sour Patch. And instead of saying, oh, who cares? Here's the movie. I started looking around, and I didn't know like what am I supposed to do now? And I realized that hang on, my movie watching has turned into snacking. Not in the
Hmm.
sense of like oh it's an eating problem. It's just I need something else to do while I'm watching this. And if I
Yep.
can't pull my phone out, I I better have something to eat.
Hmm.
And so I've noticed a really similar thing, which is like I'm not there for the movie anymore, and that's part of the reason I want to start going to the theater more often. It's just to be a little bit more present when I'm watching those things and pay more attention to them
Yep.
and appreciate them more as they're playing.
Yeah. It's just everything has changed since the past 2 years. I think is ever since TikTok. I
Yeah,
really think
fuck
that
TikTok.
everything has changed
Oh
because
man,
people are like,
I don't miss having that installed on my phone. I took that off like a year and a half ago, and I have never installed it again, and not going to.
yeah. I've
I'll
also
get my
realized,
fix on YouTube Shorts every now and then, but like no,
yeah.
I'm not putting that back on.
I've also realized I never used to have the problem, and I hate it now. Is I have Snapchat, right?
Hmm.
And I'm always, I don't know why, I'm always like the second my phone buzzes and I see it's that Snapchat notification, I have to check it. I
Yep.
have to see who wants my attention, who's
Yep.
wanting to actually talk to me.
Right. Right.
Which
I don't do
I
Snapchat, but just random just text messages. I have the same response to them. Yeah.
just like I have my phone on do not disturb right now because
I've always had mine on.
I don't want to
Yep.
I don't know. And I mean like with the person I like, if their notification goes off, I'm there. I have
Oh
to
yeah.
be there
Totally. Yep.
because like it's like, oh, it's that person, they actually are validating and wanting to talk, which
Right.
it's just like you need to be there. And then it also sucks when for specifically for Snapchat that deliver, that 1 hour deliver, 2 hour deliver.
Mm,
For anyone, it's just like,
yeah.
damn, like now you're striving for something, but it's not going to happen. So that's
Yeah,
also the problem with media.
and that's one thing about just like talking to people over text and Snapchat or anything like that. I think it kind of devalues in a way the person that you're talking to. Like I have the same experience, which is like if I see that someone's texted me just on my always on display, I don't see who it is. I just see it as a message from me. And there's one person who I always hope it's from, but if it's not from them,
But it's
then
not.
I don't care so much. It's disappointing in a way. Like
Yep.
my own mother could have texted me, and I'll be disappointed that it's not what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And so there's this sense of like just I think we can see the effects of this sort of this mode of communication that's like you start to really value that specific person and that specific conversation a lot less
Yeah.
when it could suddenly be anyone. Whereas if you're in a room and like if I'm in a room and my mother walks up to me and starts talking to me, like I value that because
Mm.
I'm not distracted by oh I thought you were someone else. It's like so
Yeah.
there's this instant reaction that kind of takes away from the longer term conversation, and yeah, it loses something.
I don't like like for me, I've always been born up on, technology.
Hmm.
So I can't really see that idea of without it. But I
Yeah, same.
understand it. I understand like, oh, hey, this would be actually kind of nice if I was without that. But I'm so in tune, so connected
Hmm.
that the idea of actually getting rid of it, even though I talk about it, it's just daunting of getting rid of that, I feel.
Right. And for me, I mean, you're in school in high school right now.
Yeah.
Um, I went to a private school for well, thanks to COVID, a year and a half. My freshman and sophomore year, and every other year of school since preschool, or since right after preschool, has been online.
Mm,
What did I use? I used AIM Academy and Well Trained Mind Academy. So all my interactions with people were over Zoom, which was
yep.
very helpful come the pandemic because all of a sudden like oh all these suckers who don't know how to use Zoom. But at the same time, like I lost all those in-person interactions until I started going to work at Starbucks. It's like I didn't have peers that I would talk to. I lived in a farm in the middle of nowhere. There weren't very many people my age, um, and so a lot of my interactions with people were all online. And I can't say for sure what kind of impact that's had on me, but I'm sure it's had some. And it
Yeah.
certainly changes the way I've used technology. I think actually it's changed for the better, possibly. Maybe it's because I'm more familiar with it that way. But like you
Mm,
mentioned, your phone's on Do Not Disturb right now. So is mine. It's always on Do Not Disturb. I don't turn off Do Not
mm,
Disturb. It's always on. In part because I know that when I get these notifications, like this dopamine hit, I don't want that distraction. In part because like let's say it's a message and like oh maybe this is the one I'm interested in. Oh no, it's not. Instead, I can just let them pile up, and every hour or so I'll check my phone, um, and then I can kind of batch that dopamine so that I'm not distracted from my work in the meantime. And then for
mm.
certain apps, all my social media apps, except Instagram, since the Maker's Lens talks in there sometimes. Um,
Yeah.
but all my social media apps,
Sometimes.
sometimes my email, especially, um, those notifications are off entirely. So even if I'm on Do Not Disturb and I check my phone every hour, I won't see email, I won't see Twitter. I have to make sure that I'm very intentionally looking at because I get emails just fucking all the time.
Mm,
And as they come in, I'm gonna respond to them. I'm gonna look at them and get distracted. It's even if it is an annoyance, even if I get an email from a teacher like, "Hey, you forgot to turn this in," like, "Oh shit, that's gonna be something I don't want to deal with." But it's enough dopamine to the like, okay, cool, I don't have to focus on the script anymore. It's like it's
yep.
a distraction, and I've tried to just get rid of those entirely. So maybe it's helping, maybe it's not, but it certainly is more
Yeah.
it's more peaceful. That's for sure.
I think that, I mean, it's so bad. I mean, socialization over the pandemic week, the 6 month period where you didn't physically like were there with people,
Mm-hmm.
you lost it. And the second I went back to school, nope, everyone wanted to socialize with everyone, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but no one did it because we didn't know how to.
Right. Well, and more importantly, suddenly you didn't have to, because suddenly you've found these other ways of doing it that are easier,
Mm,
and they're less dangerous. There's less at stake. You know, it's easier to text someone than to talk to them.
and yeah,
And after 6 months of only doing that, that becomes normal. And now all of a sudden, like, why would you talk to them? You can just
yep,
text them. It's
yeah,
it's it's
like
become commonplace. Whereas it used to be, you want to talk to your friend, go talk to your friend, not text your friend. And
yep,
I feel like
like
thanks to the pandemic, we're doing that way more than we should be.
yeah, for like texting, like say you want to tell someone something that you really don't want to tell them, you would rather do it over text than
You'd
in
rather do it
person because
text.
that fear of the reaction.
And you don't have to deal with it anymore. Completely relinquish that responsibility if you just text them, and it's just, yeah, it's easier that way, but that's not how humans work.
Yeah,
You gotta put that in. Yeah, it can hurt, but over time, which one's gonna be more valuable?
and I think with the not just the texting people, I think confidence and anxiety has gotten just like my anxiety to even just think of the idea of asking someone out
Mm-hmm.
and actually having to do that because it's better to do it in person, of course,
Right.
but it's easy to do it in text
It's a
because
lot
I
easier.
don't have to see the reaction and I can avoid it.
You can avoid it.
I
Yep.
can put the
That's
phone down. I can avoid it. When in person, you have to keep on going. You have to keep on talking and figure it all out.
Yeah.
And
It demands
that
more of you.
anxiety is just like, ugh.
It demands more of you, but I mean, it's you're gonna come out of that. Like if you have to have a really hard conversation with somebody, you're gonna come out of that conversation a lot better and a better person if you do it if you do it actually for real, talking to them, than if you just text, because then all your options are open and you're no longer, you don't have to rely on who you really are in that sort of low pressure situation.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. Technology, it's a curse, but it's also like probably the meaning for like not the meaning, but like it's gonna help us keep going and advancing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also probably not gonna be good in the
Yep.
long run.
Yep. I mean, we look at things like the metaverse,
Oh
which first of all, by definition, is not even a metaverse. It's like
god.
you got to get rid of the goggles before it even comes close to actually being classified as a metaverse. But
Like
like,
contacts are kind of, that if you had contacts that did that, I mean that would be kind of,
no, it has to be in the
closer.
brain. So
Oh, it
so
has to be in the brain. Okay.
Neuralink can do a metaverse.
Okay.
The Matrix was a metaverse, because it was
Okay.
completely in the brain, perceived just like reality.
Mm,
So once we have Neuralink, if we could hook that up to like an Oculus, then that, yeah, sure, that would technically be a
yeah.
metaverse. But like, we see this and we see people are actually spending millions of dollars on digital yachts.
Hmm.
Like, what the fuck? It's
Yeah.
like
Instead of the physical
it's
thing.
bad enough that you think you need a yacht in real life, but like, you don't need a fake one.
Yep.
And at the same time, like, yeah, like this way you can be a little bit more in person with someone halfway across the world than you could be otherwise. Um, and it's helpful. It's helpful.
Mm,
You don't have to leave your house to go have a meeting now. You can do it on Zoom. But humans don't perceive other humans in 2D. We
yeah.
don't even know, we don't even really understand how to interact on Zoom yet, and it's been a long time, and
Yeah.
we won't be able to adapt to that for a very long time, and this technology is advancing a lot faster than we can adapt to it as a society at large. So it's interesting to see.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
scared to see, but we'll see.
yeah. Yeah. We'll be on it. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of scary to think that at some point, if the human race is extinct, we could still be surviving digitally.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a
It's
bit scary to think about.
What's particularly scary is how little people seem to understand, like, how realistic the Matrix is, like the movie. Like,
Mm,
aside from the fact that humans can't be used as batteries and that just like
yeah.
violates every law of physics, it's like,
Yeah.
aside from that, like, the accuracy of that movie to what could potentially happen is pretty mind blowing. Like, as when you really look at like things like Neuralink, which are incredible. Like when Neuralink, I think it just started human trials. Like it's going to
Hmm.
solve practically every disability that we have. And
Yeah,
I'll drop out of college and buy it because I don't know what the price prediction is right now, but I saw at one point it was only as low as $1,000,
that's wow.
and suddenly I can connect via Bluetooth to my phone and wonder something, and basically it's just downloaded from the internet, and I know. So why would I
Mm.
spend $200,000 on college? It's like, so
Yeah.
it'll change things. It'll be a huge benefit, but at the same time, you have these sorts of concerns, like where is
Are
society
you
going
gonna
to go
even be
from there?
considered human?
Well, I don't think that would be a problem, but at the very least, like if suddenly I can control my own mind and body completely with Neuralink,
Mm.
what am I going to lose? Like if I can if I can hack my own brain to make my daydreams feel like reality,
Yep.
why would I want to leave my daydreams?
Yeah. Then you
And
get
and
stuck in that.
it sounds like some sort of fringe like oh, that won't happen, but when you think about it, it's like, well, no, because that would be possible. Um, and when you think about human nature, like why would we not? It's the same idea as drugs. It's like if you can be high, why wouldn't you be high? it's
Yeah. If you could feel
it,
better about
right. If
yourself
you
and
feel better,
everything,
why
yeah.
wouldn't you? And so it's not a fringe concern. It's legitimate, and I'm both excited to see how that sort of thing goes and pretty worried about it. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, we'll
We'll
see.
see.
I mean, yeah. All right.
That's
I
kind of where the
think,
conversation ends. We'll see.
yeah. Yeah, I think we'll end it here.
Yeah.
I think we're at 120. So I think
120.
for
Okay, that's good.
yeah.
That's
All right. We'll
longer than
talk
I thought it
about
was. Wow.
that was longer. Yeah, we'll talk
Huh.
about different stuff next time though and see
Yes.
where that leads. What do we
Yes.
start off with? Film and college degrees to wondering about the universe basically.
Yeah. All these sort of metaphysical questions for the metaverse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
let's
all
fingers
right.
crossed that Zuck isn't as terrifying as he looks.
Oh my god, yeah. All right, I will
No
end
offense.
my
Don't come after me in my sleep, Zuck.
yeah,
All right.
it'll be in the metaverse just coming at you, be fine.
Yep. All right. Well, to everyone listening, thank you for listening because it's
Thank
been a
you.
long time, and I assume that you have us in 2x. Totally cool. I would do the same thing. So let me talk really slowly now so that you can be annoyed by it. Thank you for
Oh god.
watching episode 2 of Maker's Modem. I'm your co host,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Yes, thank you very much.
What
Just
the fuck are we doing?
getting really creepy now all of a sudden.
I'm just gonna end it. I'm just putting
Oh,
it
yeah.
there. They'll just listen to that. Oh my
All right.
god.
Thanks for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.
The fuck.